Bible!
Paul's letters.
Paul traveled to many places telling people about Jesus, and because of this, Jesus' followers began popping up everywhere.
Those people became the first churches, right?
Yes, churches made up of all kinds of people, and they were all learning how to follow Jesus together. So, sometimes there were problems.
Oh no! What did Paul do?
Well, he couldn't go back to visit all of them. Some of the churches were really far away. And besides that, sometimes Paul was in jail. So, how could he help the new followers? He wrote them letters.
It looks like he wrote a lot of them.
Yep. For example, Paul wrote a really long letter to Christians in Rome who were just learning about Jesus.
This is amazing! Paul explains why the world is broken and how Jesus came to fix it. You gotta read this.
So, if someone wants to learn what Christians believe, the book of Romans is a great place to start.
You mean we can read Paul's letters today?
Yes. You see, Paul's letters can be found in the Bible.
That's amazing! What else did he write?
1st and 2nd Corinthians. These are 2 letters written to the church in the big city of Corinth where people were being mean to each other. So, Paul wrote,
You need to love others like Jesus did, and stop being mean. Remember that love is patient and kind and puts other people first.
Well, when the Corinthians read it, they knew things had to change.
What Paul says is true. I'm sorry I was so mean to you.
And I'm sorry that I was mean to you too.
I'm sorry too.
I'm sorry.
Wow, they really listened.
And changed because they did.
What about the one gal, or that one,
Galatians and Ephesians. Those are letters written to the churches in Galatia and Ephesus.
Were they having problems too?
There were a lot of Jewish laws about how to eat and dress that were hard for people to follow. So Paul wrote to the Galatians,
Remember that Jesus freed us from those laws. Instead, Jesus asks us to love God and love others. That is more important than what we eat and what we wear.
And what about Ephesians?
In that letter, Paul talks about reconciliation, which is a fancy word that means to fix a broken friendship. Remember, Adam and Eve's friendship with God was broken by sin. That's what Jesus came to fix. So Paul wrote,
Jesus came to reconcile the whole world to God, to fix our friendship with Him and with others.
Like the Corinthians.
Right. Then there is the letter to the Philippians, which was written to a place called Philippi.
What's that one about?
Joy.
When I think about God's love, it makes me so happy, even when I'm in jail.
Paul was happy even in jail because he knew that Jesus was with him. God showed Paul how to be happy no matter what was happening in life.
Wow! I'd sure like to be that happy.
Well, reading Philippians can help. Now, let's look at Colossians, which was written to the church in a place called Colossae. Sometimes people got confused about how to follow Jesus, or about who God is and what He wants from us.
So Paul wrote Colossians to teach them?
You're catching on.
That one looks like it's 2 letters again.
1st and 2nd Thessalonians are letters written to Christians in Thessalonica because
Jesus said He was going to come back.
But He didn't say when.
When what?
Jesus is coming back.
Jesus is back?
some people were confused about when Jesus was returning. So, Paul wrote that Jesus would come back someday to make everything right and good, even though we don't know exactly when. Let's see what's next.
1st and 2nd Timothy and,
Titus. These are letters written to two young men named...
Oh, I know, Timothy and Titus.
Right. They were learning how to lead the churches, so Paul wrote them lots of advice.
Paul told me to always trust in God and to run away from evil.
And he told me to be honest, so I can be a good example for others.
Paul's letters were so helpful for the people he wrote to, and they're still helpful for us today.
And finally, that is...
Philemon.
So he wrote it to a man named well, that name.
Yes, Philemon had a servant named Onesimus, who ran away and took some things that didn't belong to him.
I met Paul and became a Jesus follower. I felt bad for what I had done, so...
Paul wrote me so that Onesimus and I could...
Reconcile.
Yes, because of Paul's letter, Philemon forgave Onesimus and took him back not as a servant, but as a brother in Jesus.
That's so great.
It is. There's a lot of encouragement and instruction in all of these letters from Paul.
All 13 letters.
Right. Romans is about...
What Christians believe.
1st and 2nd Corinthians...
Is about love.
Galatians...
Freedom.
Ephesians...
Reconciliation.
Philippians...
Joy.
Colossians...
Following Jesus.
1st and 2nd Thessalonians...
Jesus' return.
1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus...
Being a good leader.
Philemon...
Reconciliation. I'm getting good at that word.
Very good.
Wow, we can learn so much from reading Paul's letters in the Bible.
Oh, yes. We really, really can.